I guess we need an intro. Let's go.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm back here with Simone. And if you haven't caught episode 1 of her sharing her story, it will be, I'll put it into the description down below, or you can just go look at probably the previous episode to this. Sim, how are you?
Good, Steve.
Just good? No, I'm
Good,
joking.
often great.
Always good, often great. I love it. The tagline of this podcast. So we're picking up on part 2 because when Simone first initially shared her story, I asked her about her history and about headlines, her agency, the PR agency, and she just started like verbal diarrheaing on me a whole bunch of stuff, and I was like, as she started talking, I was like, dude, I better start making some notes because she's dropping some very interesting pieces of information here that I want to do into another episode, because the first episode there was just too much, and we try to keep the episodes down. 15 minutes is ideal, but that first episode I think went to 30 minutes because Simone just wouldn't shut up. So
Thanks for that. How to give someone a complex in one fell swoop. Okay.
So I'm saying that in jest because if you've been following the podcast, you'll know Simone started out super nervous and super shy about sharing, and now she's just, I'm so proud because Simone's fully come out of her shell and she's like really sharing.
You're going to regret it. Sounds like you are.
So I wanted to pick up on the second part of the podcast we did, because we talked in the last one about some of the things, obviously your journey, but we talked a little bit about luck, and I said that I don't believe in luck. I think luck is a skill, and that's something that, and you fought with me on that a we both made good points. We talked about having a passion in your business and like getting stuck in that point in your business where you feel you just got a passion and that you don't want to push any further beyond that. And you also shared quite a lot about the next stages of your agency, like where you want to go now that your kids are a little bit older and you are wanting to think about what are the next stages, where can you go beyond that. But you also shared quite a lot of stuff which I thought was quite interesting in the last episode, talking about I kind of grouped them all together because I feel like they're all marketing related, and obviously, as I said, that's sort of my background. It's a skill set of mine is marketing, and it's something that I've learned a lot about over the last few years. So you mentioned a few things, and I said, hey, let me lump these together. Let's do a separate episode on them. The first thing you mentioned, which I thought was quite interesting, you were talking about the growth of your business, and you kind of mentioned, I think twice, you said something about you partnered up with someone, then a lot of your work just came from referrals, and you use that term that everybody uses in their business, word of mouth. And I thought it's an opportunity to address that because it's a pet peeve of mine over the years. Because a lot of people talk about word of mouth. My business grows by word of mouth. Your business doesn't grow by word of mouth. Your business grows by referrals. That is what word of mouth is. It's somebody referring you to someone else.
It's another way of saying referrals.
100%. But I think that when we use the word of mouth, for me, that's bitch language. Okay, we talk about on this podcast that we started from Andy Frisella and the Real AF podcast and the 75 Hard and all that. Bitches and bosses. For me, word of mouth is a bitch terminology.
Why though?
Because it's passive. Oh, I'm sitting back, word of mouth. Oh, so you heard about me from someone else? Great, come in, let me see what you need. Whereas referrals is active. Referrals is go out and ask for a referral. Go ask your happy clients, hey man, how's the job I'm doing? Are you happy? Yeah, I'm so happy. Dude, would you mind introducing me to someone else who needs what you're getting from me? That is active. That is marketing. That is growth. That's the difference between word of mouth and referrals.
I don't think it has to be going out and actively looking. Like referrals could be if somebody is looking for an agency and they contact a journalist and it's who do you recommend?
But then the journalist comes to you and says, yeah, I think you should speak to Simone.
Yeah.
What has Simone done in her business to make that happen?
Well, let's say they've had a very favorable experience.
The journalist.
Right. So they are recommending based on their experience.
Right. But that journalist,
that's word of mouth.
But what if that is word of mouth, and that's bitch, that's passive. Because what if nobody approaches that journalist? What about the other 10 journalists who you've given a good experience to, who don't get asked? What are you doing about those guys?
So I'm not saying that, so word of mouth is not proactive, nor is, so referrals that you're talking about, I think is proactive, but word of mouth is not proactive.
Exactly.
But it is just happens to be how Headlines has grown.
So last episode, you said to me, if someone else had been given the lucky opportunities that you were given, maybe they could have taken your agency to the next level.
Yes.
I'm saying to you that if you potentially, I'm not saying this is a guarantee, but potentially, what happens if you 20 years ago into your agency had said, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to actively go out and look for referrals. Maybe you could be that person who took your agency to the stratosphere. Maybe that's how the person who took all of your lucky opportunities, maybe that's how they did it.
Yes, and if somebody or me was better at selling themselves, or then they could have.
Right.
I'm not. I didn't.
But that's a whole other story.
Yes,
That's
yes.
got nothing to do with referrals.
Yes.
My point is this, and how many people listening to this and in their own business sit back, and the majority of people, because if you ask anybody, 9 times out of 10, you say, how do you grow your business? People would say word of mouth. That's a bitch thing. That's like sitting back saying, I'm waiting for people to walk through the door once someone else introduces them to me. I'm saying this is something that I used to do with the agency that we used to support, is we used to put together referral programs for them. Active, and if you're interested in you're listening to this and you need help with this, get in touch with me. The information's down below. Set up a time and let's chat. I will give you a referral generating strategy for your business, free of charge, won't charge you a cent, that you can implement today into your business, that will generate you referrals on a monthly basis, will generate you, for lack of a better word of mouth in a monthly business. And it's a very simple procedure where you simply actively go out and ask for the referral, instead of sitting back waiting for somebody waiting for that journalist to say, hey, I heard you talking when you need an agency, you should talk to Simone. Simone goes and talks to those agencies, to those journalists, and says, hey, I'm looking for more business. Who do you know? Who's talking that they need an agency? You need to talk to me. Send them my way. That's the difference between, we talk about good to great.
Yes.
That's how you go from a small little agency or a small little business, good, to a great little business. And then you go from a great little business to a small little big business kind of thing.
So I think there is value in it. You've got to be that kind of person.
Right. Well, I think, and this goes back to the other conversation about, do you have too much going on? Are you too involved in the day-to-day of your business? Are you working in your business versus on your business?
I don't know if it is only that. When I say the kind of person, is you've got to have no scam going to somebody and saying...
It needs to be a person characteristic.
Yes. Is saying, I need more business, give me referrals. Or not need, just...
Yeah.
You
Do
know,
you think that you're not that kind of person?
I don't think I'm that kind of person.
It's so interesting, because I fully am that kind of person.
You are so
But you can tell the difference, introvert versus extrovert.
Yes.
Like, I don't
And
give
I
a
don't
shit.
think I'm an introvert.
I also don't
I'm
think you're an
an
introvert, yeah.
But I'm not that kind of person.
What are
Like,
you worried
either
about?
see
Because
the
maybe
value-
someone listening can relate. What are you worried
I think
about?
I'm worried about being seen as weak, desperate, needy, maybe not good. Like, well, why are they looking for more business? Are they maybe not doing well?
So let me reframe that for you quickly.
Yes.
Because it's all in the conversation. It's all in the wording that you use. You go out to someone and you say, how's it, bro? Listen, could you introduce me to someone? I'm looking for more business. You do. You look weak. Well, maybe you look weak, but it's not the big. However, change the conversation and say, hey, bro, how's it going? Well, I mean, already you can hear the difference in my voice because it's a point that I want to make. But, hey, bro, how you doing?
Even your demeanor's changed.
I'm smiling.
Yeah.
Hey, bro, how you doing? Listen, I've set a goal for my business to get to 7 figures by the end of this year. Do you know anybody who's looking for what I do? Because I'd like to hit that goal. How much does that change? Do you look weak now?
No.
Do you all of a
Not
sudden look
very
like a little
different.
bitch who's looking for...
I've got a job for you.
I'm employing you to sell for you. Can you see how just one little line,
huge.
adding in one little tidbit to say, hey, I've set a goal. All of a sudden, you're way stronger than the person who's going, fuck, you set a goal for 7 figures. Fuck, I'm in. How do I help you? You're recruiting someone to sell for you.
Yeah, you're right. I can't argue. Good point.
Will you try it out this week? Your homework? Try it out on someone this week. Say, dude, I've said it. My God, listen, here's your conversation. I'll write it out for you right now. How's it, man? Listen, my kids are all grown up now. And I'm actually at a stage where I'm ready to take my business to the next level. I don't have the responsibilities I used to. I don't have to look after my kids anymore. They're out of the house. It's all me. I've got the time on my hands and I want to grow my business. Do you know anyone who needs some PR help? Find me a person who's going to turn around and go, Simone, stuff you. I'm never going to help you with that. Every single human that you'd say that to will turn around and go, dude, Simone, I don't know anyone right now, but the minute I find someone, in fact, I've got a meeting later with a plumbing guy, with a banker. I'm going to ask him if I'm going to help you get your goal. People want to help.
Yeah.
We want to help each other.
I'll take you up on that. I'm thinking of a couple of people now. I'll do it.
Can you see how easy it actually is to get into a referral business? And I don't even know if the advice that I'm sharing is good All I know is that it's worked for me. And it's worked for some of the agencies that I've worked with and said,
And it can't be worse than doing nothing.
there you go.
Yeah.
Doing it's what did you say to me earlier? You said something about 15%, 85% of something is better than 50.
100% of nothing.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's exactly the same concept. At least you're doing something. You're not sitting on your ass waiting for word of mouth to do the work for you.
Yeah, I hear your point.
Okay, you'll do it?
Yes.
Done. That's the first thing you spoke about that I wanted to touch on. The other amazing thing that I think you spoke about in that episode was you mentioned how when you started out, I think you were very savvy in the very beginning when you were offered a job and you turned around and you said, hey, I'd rather consult to you. Because what you actually did in that moment is you partnered up with someone. And the power of partnerships in business is so flippin' powerful, it's unbelievable. And then you went on
I think it's all about partnerships.
100%.
Yes.
Because what you're doing is you're recruiting someone to sell for you. You're saying, hey, dude, you and I, we both service the same audience, but we don't compete with each other.
Yeah.
CBR, who you work with now, you work out of the office and you've got a relationship with, you both, in theory, service the same businesses, the same clientele, but you don't do the same thing.
No.
You're never going to do an SEO campaign or a build a website.
Complement each other very well.
So CBR is constantly, any business meeting they're in and somebody mentions, oh yeah, we might need to send out a press release, and they say, oh, we've got a good press release person, we'll get you hooked up. And any meeting you're sitting and going, hey, we might need to get our website looked at. Hey, I've got a good guy who can look at that for you.
Yeah,
Power.
exactly. No, it is all about partnering.
And I've always said this about you, and it's interesting because maybe you've never seen it about yourself, but I've always said from the minute that I started working on a professional level with you that I think your superpower is what? I've told you a few times.
Networking.
I think that you are one of the most connected, sorted out people from a connection perspective, from a networking perspective that I've met. I don't know
I
if
also
you
have a few years of experience on you, so I know a few more people.
Simone's like a few years older than me, guys, just so you know. And she looks younger than me.
Nice one.
So partnerships was the other thing. I think it's just so important, and it's something that it's worth a full episode on its own. The last thing that you mentioned that I think is worth mentioning as well was the team and freelancers, because this is a part of running a business. And again, I think we're talking very much from a agency perspective, because we're both kind of from the media space and from the creative advertising marketing space. So a lot of business owners or people who are running businesses may not relate to what we're talking about, and may be much more difficult in their business to go, well, I can't do that in my business because I run this kind of business. But maybe you can, maybe you can't, but it's worthwhile listening and worthwhile hearing what we say is the concept that you mentioned about team, freelancers. This is a lesson that I learned the hard way in my previous business, where I was building a copywriting team, and we made the decision to hire internally versus freelance, and all the struggles and the frustrations and the years and years of struggle that we went through with that versus going freelance. So we had, the point I think is, and I'm currently going through it now with my sister's business as well, where she's always done it one way and there's another way to do it. And I'm not saying freelance is better than permanent, and I'm not saying permanent is better than freelance, but I think that what you shared in that episode was so interesting around how you grew your agency using the team models that you used.
Well, I think it was very low risk for me at the time, but I had really, really amazing resources that I could call on.
Yeah.
I think having relationships with suppliers or freelancers, whatever you want to call them, is as important as having them with your full-time staff.
Yeah.
You need to be able to rely on these guys, and you need to be able to call on them when chips are down and deadlines are tight.
Yeah.
You need to be able to, they need to deliver for you.
Yeah.
So I think those kind of relationships are very important.
Yeah.
But going from in-house to freelance for me it's relatively low risk, because if someone doesn't work out for whatever reason, if it's not a good fit, or the client's not happy for whatever reason, then you are able to make the shift.
Yeah.
Versus then taking on the overhead.
So with regards to that, because that's a very practical thing, a tactical, practical thing in a business is how do I manage resources? What route do I do? In your opinion, what 3 pieces of advice would you give if you have them? Don't pull that face at me. If you've got them, and again, recognizing that for a business owner who may be struggling with that in their business, let's make this really practical.
Struggling with what?
Like resourcing. Like maybe they've gone the freelance route and it's not working out. Like, what would you advise them in terms of working with freelancers?
Advise working with freelancers. I think treating them with treating their time and understanding. As a freelancer, it's very, very difficult to manage time because it's sometimes drought and then sometimes, it never rains but it pours kind of. So I think understanding that and understanding where they're coming from and being respectful of their time. I think a lot of it is in the brief. My freelancers have trained me very well.
Love that you said that, yeah.
My freelancers have trained me very well over the years to give them the information that they need in order to deliver. So it's a partnership. I can't just call them up and say, I need a 600 word press release on X, Y, and Z. I need to feed them the information. I need to give them the tools in order to do the job properly. So
just on that, I love that you brought up briefing, because I think it's one of the most critical, and this isn't just for freelancers, this is for any resource that you're working with, is briefing so flipping important. Again, we're talking from a marketing perspective, so briefing is a term that we use a lot because we have individual projects or press releases or social media posts that need to be created. A brief, getting the brief right is absolutely fundamental to getting the outcome that you want.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't get the brief right, then the person doesn't know what the outcome looks like or what's expected.
And that's on me.
Totally. But I love what you said as well, is the terminology you used was, let your freelancers train you on how to give a brief, because they will tell you what they need. Stop being the man in the room and multiply them a little bit and say, hey dude, how can I make this as easy as possible for you to hit the target here? How can I get the outcome out of you as easily as possible? What do you need? Oh, well, if you just fill out this document that I've created, and this is my personal brief, and if you'd be so good as to use this every time you give me something, I'll make sure I know it. It cuts down revisions, it cuts down costs on timing, costs down everything. So I think such a good share on briefing is such an important one. And I think I just want to jump in and say this as well. If you're not working with freelancers, because briefing is important in the creative space, in the marketing agency space, maybe you're running a business like a plumbing business, or you're running a business, an admin-based business, and it's not so easy to say, hey, each individual project needs a brief. So you've gone the full-timer route, and you've got employees, even if you've gone freelancer route, but you're using employees. How do you brief them that you're not briefing them every day on different projects? You're briefing them once on one project. Please, and again, if you need some help with this, please get in touch with me. I'm happy to sit down with you and work through this. Unbelievable resource, unbelievable book by a guy named Jeff Smart called Top Grading. It's all about how to hire and find and hire A players. And one of the most core foundational, fundamental parts of his strategy of hiring and finding A players and hiring them, getting into your business, is giving them a job scorecard. Job scorecard is a job description. We call them job descriptions, we call them role description, whatever it is, it's a job scorecard. Every employee in your business should have a job scorecard. You as the owner of your business should have a job scorecard. Your business should have a job scorecard. A job scorecard is essentially a brief. It's an understanding of what is expected of me and how do I know I'm doing the job correctly. How do I know I'm not going to get fired tomorrow? If I manage to meet these KPIs, and that's what every job scorecard should have. I think his son, who came after him and did a book called Who, he's the one who introduced outcomes into the job scorecard. Outcomes being measurable, tangible metrics that you can add to a job scorecard. So the person who gets a job scorecard can look at it and go, right, what's expected of me as a copywriter is to write 7 pieces of content every day. They must be 300 words. It must be error-free.
Everyone likes those boundaries.
Now I know that I'm doing a
as
good job,
humans,
100%. And just by the way, if you're operating in South Africa by South African labor law, it gives you an opportunity to tell if the person that you've hired is doing the job, and do you need to discipline them? Are they for poor work performance, etc.? Things like that. And are they not doing the job? Then you need to get rid of them. And it gives you that opportunity to tell acutely and analytically, is this person measuring on what they're supposed to be doing, or are they failing? If they're failing, they need to go. If they're doing what they need to do, you've got a good employee. Sorry, and you were going to say one other piece of advice. I've just had to jump in with that because
I don't think I was.
Go fast. You're happy with that? I think it was just something that I really wanted to come back to this episode on, because I think, as I said, is you shared some really good stuff in your episode. Again, I encourage you guys to go listen to episode 1. We also, in the middle of episode 1, did a very good episode on accountability, which was very on the fly as well. But I think it's a really super important one. As I said to Sim, I'm starting to end these podcast episodes with a little bit of homework. Your homework for yourself today. As I said, sometimes it'll be practical, super practical. Sometimes it'll just be more ephemeral and about headspace or mindset and that sort of thing. But your homework for today is to go into your business and make sure that everyone's got a job scorecard. Because you could have employees in your business, freelance or full-time, that have absolutely no idea what's expected of them. If you give them a job scorecard, it's undeniable and it's unconfusable, if that's a word. I've created a word. What is expected of them? Go and give them a job scorecard. If you need help with a job scorecard and the creation of a job scorecard, please get in touch down below with me. I'm happy to walk you through the process and to let you to build a job scorecard for you so that you can see how to do it and actually get more and have a much happier staff, because they'll know what's expected of them. They won't be wandering around the boss going, dude, I actually don't know if I'm doing a good job here, but I'm just going to carry on until he notices that I'm doing a shit job and then I get fired. So homework, scorecards. Goodbye, Simone.
Justy.